Welcome back to Opinion Journal. I'm Mary Kissel. Mexican President Enrique Pena Nieto announced a plan to open up his country's energy sector to private investment Monday. Is Mexico about to have an energy breakout? America's columnist Mary Anastasia O'Grady is here. Mary, why does Mexico need to do anything at all? What's the problem with energy production down there?
Basically, in a word, it's a monopoly. And when you have a monopoly, you don't have the right business model, let me put it that way. And production has been declining a lot since 2003. And, you know, Mexican energy revenues coming in the form of royalties and taxes to the government make up more than a third of the government's revenues. So if those revenues, if the production plummets, the federal fisc is also in danger. And, you know, they've known this for a long time, but they haven't done anything about it, and it's becoming more acute, and they need to do something.
I think that would come as a surprise to a lot of viewers who, when they think of oil-producing countries, they think Mexico, Venezuela, no problem, but that is a big problem. So what has the president proposed? What's he want to do?
Well, the other thing to keep in mind also is that because you have this big energy boom going on in Canada and the U.S., and Mexico is part of the North American Free Trade Agreement, you know, the wheels are turning, the lights are coming on, they're going, we're missing out on this. So President Pena Nieto has proposed that what they would do is allow private investment to come into the oil sector. Now, this is distinct from actually giving concessions to the oil companies, and so his proposal fell short of what a lot of people were hoping for. They were hoping for something like what they do in Brazil, which actually gives a piece of the property to a oil company as a concession, and then that output is taxed. That's not going to happen here.
What's the difference?
Well, the difference is that the oil companies will not have that square yardage as theirs in a concession. What they will do is they'll be in a partnership with the government, and the government says that they will pay them in cash, not in oil, but in the equivalent of the oil that they bring up. So it's actually a pretty good deal, much better than what Mexico has done before.
Was there a political reason why the president didn't go all the way and say to the oil companies, you can come in and buy this land rather than this kind of complicated arrangement?
Well, that's, it goes to the heart of the problem, which is that, in the Constitution, there is a certain provision for oil, for what's below the ground to belong to the state. And then in 1938, Lázaro Cárdenas nationalized oil, but it's important to remember that even though he nationalized the oil, he did not prohibit concessions, and that didn't happen until 1960. So what Pena Nieto is doing very cleverly is saying to the Mexican people, I'm not doing anything against the great Lázaro Cárdenas, who was such a symbolic figure for Mexican people. In fact, I'm doing exactly consistent with what he would have done. And what he wants to do is turn back that 1960 law that says that you can't have private investment. And, he does have good support from one of the other major parties in Congress, the National Action Party, otherwise known as the PAN. And so together, those two parties have a high probability of getting something done.
High probability of getting something done. Very exciting. America's columnist Mary Anastasia O'Grady, thank you very much for the